Hi, so I came upon this Reddit questions where you came upon that you wanted to create like a project management tools. So it seems like he's moving from Apple Notes. So he's doing a lot of copy pasting for every week, like for each of his projects and then the tasks. And then these are some of the requirements that you mentioned that he's trying to solve. Like you want to create a Kanban board to show all the topics. So I assume this topic is more like a project. So each of the projects need to have 4 states: open, working, waiting, and then done. And then when you open the project, you can see a list of all the notes related to the topic or the project inside it. And then he said that he wanted a different view. So it's other than just a list, he wants to be able to sort by date as well. So in this case, he wanted to be sort by weeks. So yeah, based on this request, I just create a quick examples of how you can do it. So I'll show you the done example, and then we can do it together as well. All right, so here's an example of the database. So for here we have two with something called project database. So you can see there's only a list here. So it's just a project, right? Which has hidden the, let me just show you because I've noticed a lot of people is asking how to make it more aesthetically pleasing. So you can actually hide the database title. So it's called projects, but then I just hide it and then just rename the list so that it's more pleasing in this way. And then we have another one similar. This is the task database. So basically every time you create a project, you can assign the task to each of the project itself. So here you can see an example here. We have one project called project 1, and then we have 4 tasks being assigned to it. And then we can even see like when it's the assigned dates. So this is where we have it, and then checkbox just to see the completion. So yeah, so this is just to explain a little bit more on the structure. But then in terms of actual usage, you don't actually need this. So what we need is when you create a new project. So let's just call this project 2. So there are a few ways you can try to add new tasks. So one is you can click this edit button here. So add tasks, you can select task 5, then new tasks, and then you can select. Yeah, it's not the best way to add new tasks, to be honest. So the other way you can add tasks is select the project 2, and then you just open another page and go inside it. So what you see here, there's a few things. So one is just the status. So what status is in, you can just change it, work in progress. And then you have progress. So what this progress is actually linked to the task itself. So for example, now we have task 5, right, that I've added earlier. So what you can do is just click here, checkbox, and then you can see it become 100%. So if you want to have new task 6, task 7, 8, and then each of these you can actually just do checkbox, and then automatically you have, let's go back, automatically you can have like a checkbox progress bar here. And then as well as the date, let me just show this up. You can see. I think the dates here to go inside to assign it manually though. So let's see. Yeah, you should have a date here. So what we can do is I can make it so that you always have a date being defaulted, so you can select it. So we'll do this when we go through it together. And then for the next one, we have group by week. So this is another request from the Redditor. So basically he's asked that he wanted this to be grouped by weeks, right? So another thing is just that, let me just do a filter. Project 2. Project 2. Okay. So when you open this page, it will only show the task that is assigned for this project, because all this we don't have a date yet, that's why it's not showing. So let me just select a few dates just so that it makes sense to you. Just go back to the previous page. You can undo, not really. So let me just select another week. And that should be okay. So now we have 3 weeks ideally. You can see like each of our tasks is being shown here as well. So maybe the only thing you want probably just show a checkbox so that it's easy for you to take it off. And then also make sure that it doesn't show the text box, checkbox, uncheck if it's not done. So let's say for example it's still open, it will just show up here. If it's open, then we just hide it. So yeah, that's how you can do like a quick and simple project task management tools. So yeah, let's get started then on how you can build it. So just ignore the one at the top. Maybe you can do like just do a reference so that I can remember. So So first of all, you need to create a project database. So we select /database, database inline, and then we can call this projects. And then what do we need in project? So first of all, we need to have the different status here, stages. So it's a bit like if you use Trello before, this is where the stages comes in. So you can either edit the existing tag or property, or you can add new. So in my case, I'll just use the existing one. Just click on it, select type, and then select status. So let me just rename it just so it makes sense. Then by default, so Notion already assigned you with like a status here, so it's quite helpful, like not started, in progress, done. But we want to change like based on the requirement of the user. So you can change it whatever you want. But for now, let me just change it. So and then for changing, it's not that intuitive, to be honest. Like you have to go inside and then select status, edit property, and then you can only change it here. So let's see what you want to change. So I think it's open. Then the second one is working on it, waiting for feedback. So let me just select this. So waiting, working on it. And then another one is waiting for feedback. Okay, so let's do it and then done. Okay, so you might have noticed like you have this to do, in progress, and then complete. So what does each of it mean, right? So for now, it wouldn't impact you so much, but then it will be quite easier to sort out. Let's say like you want to track the progress of how many is in progress, how many is being complete, how is to do. So this will be more useful if you need to track more of this detailed stuff. If it's just more status on Kanban board, then you wouldn't need to care about it as much. So for now, we just leave it like this. And then let me see what else I have for here. Okay, so I have the status and the progress, and then to link it to the database. All right. So next, now that we have the progress project here, so what we need to do is just delete this, just make it pleasing. Not sure where's this. Just delete it. Okay. Next, we create our task database. So basically /database. So tasks. So this is basically referencing this one, like the task here. And then what we need here is have checkbox and then dates. So let's just create this now. So just change this. You can do checkbox. Then just rename it as checkbox. So simple cool tricks about checkbox that you can actually just do this like this slide to the end. So it's a bit different for other different properties. Let's say for example text, right? You actually can't like squeeze it like to very end. So that's a limit. But a trick that people often use is that if you change this to checkbox, right? Let's say I change it to checkbox. And then you can squeeze it like this. And then you change it back to text. So you can see it's actually being squeezed. But then if you just start moving it, you snap back again. So yeah, if you need, for example, status or something, you want it to be like very small. So that's how you can do it. But for now, we need to use this as a date. So let's create a date. So just name it as date, just to make it simple. All right. So the idea is that you create a task, for example, task 1, task 2, task 3, and then you can assign a date when you want to complete this, for example, or when you want to do it. Okay. So that's how you have the date here. And then you have a checkbox just to make sure that it's done or open. All right. So that's the task. So now we need to link the task to the project. So for example, project 1. So currently like we have status and then we have the project, but we don't really have any tasks inside. So what you can do is you need to use this new property. So add a property. You can select relation. So you can select tasks and then just like show on tasks, limit. So just select one page. So the idea is that only each of these tasks, they can only have one project. They cannot have multiple projects. If you want to have multiple projects, you can do it as well. But for my example here, I just have one project, one task. So that's where you add the task here. So we can actually start trying now. So for example, if I just select task 1, 2, 3. So this is the one I've created, right? Oh no, I think in here it should be no limit. That's my mistake. So basically, no limits mean you can select multiple tasks instead of just one. So let me try again. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this here we have the task here, but then it's a little bit different from what I showed you earlier. So there's another new feature by Notion, which is where you once you select the property, the relation, and then select show as. So there are a few options here. You can add page section or minimal. So what I used earlier is called as a page section. So instead of being in the same rows as the properties, right, it actually create a special row for him. And then you can see like there's a task here, but then there's still some problem here where you can actually create like a checkbox. So this is where you can put the checkbox here, and then you can put the dates. So yep, so this is where you can have the dates here. You can see like it's actually being ticked, and then you can actually update the dates here. So that's how it works. And then yeah, that's it though. So basically on a very high level, this is how you can actually just keep track of notes. And then for something that's a bit more advanced, is that you notice that when I created a project, actually there's another table here. So the list that's actually referred back to this project as well. So that is actually done automatically. So I'm not going to show you how you can actually do it now. And maybe also something like aesthetically. So every time I add a task, right, you can see there's like a check mark here. Every time I add a project, there's a flag. So I can teach you how you can do that. So for now, maybe we can just do the check mark first, just to show you how it can be done. So for the idea now is that every time we create a new task, we want to have a check mark. So what you can do is you can use this function called templates. So you can go to here, it's like click it down and then new template. So we can just type this as default. You can name it as whatever you want, and then add icon. So for my case, I'm going to go to icon, I want to check mark, and then just put green color. Let's make it slightly different. And then it's for the date. So this is a bit of a quality of life thing that I can show you how it can be done. So for example, we just put the default dates as February 15, 2023. Right. So now that I've created the templates for this, so let's just make sure that this is the default. Currently you can see empty page is the default. So click the three dot, set as default. So there's a few options here. For all views in tasks, only a table view. For our case, we just select for all views so that it just applies to everything. So this is normally how you want to do it. And then now let's try one more. Task 4. So you can see there's a check mark here, and actually automatically select the dates for us. So one of the downside of templates is just that it doesn't automatically select the dates for you. For example, it doesn't reflect today's date. So let's say like if I create this task tomorrow, right, it will still be 15. But I'll show you the reason why we want this later. Okay, so this is how we can kind of make it more aesthetically pleasing. And then the second part is you want to make sure every time you create a project, you have a flag here and also a table, a list that reflects the date. So let me go to Simile, go to projects, the down button, new template, and then I can add icon. So you can just put like a flag, and then I just put purple color, and then default. So this is where I want to add a link database. So if it says /link, you can see link view of database. So this might be a bit confusing for a new user. So the idea of link database is that when you try to connect, you already have an existing database, right? You don't want to duplicate it. So meaning that you have a table, but you don't want to create multiple tables, right? You want to use back the same table inside a different page. So in this case, I want to link back to the task database that we have. So let me just show you very quickly. So this is the task database that we have created in this page here. So exactly the same thing. And then let me just go back here. Wait, before I set this default, just edit first. And then for now, you can see this task database actually linked to like multiple, it's showing like all the projects. And I do not want it to show like other projects. I just want it to show the new projects that I'm going to create in the future. So in this case, let me just change this view first to, I should delete this. Don't need this one. Maybe we can keep this. Yeah, we can keep this. All right. So there's a filter function here. So you can click the filter and then filter by project. So what you need to do is that you want to filter it based on the default and then just save for everyone. So what would happen here is that, let me just show you an example. It's very cool, kind of like automation too. So select, make it as default first for all projects. Okay, let's select project 2. Let's now go inside. So what you see is that we can see the task table here. So let's say I try to create a new task. So task, how many tasks are we have? 5, task 6. So you can see it's automatically linked to the project number 2. And then task 7. So that's why like you don't have to keep on doing repetitive tasks. Like you can just, every time you set a default templates, you just automatically create for you. So this is where we have it. So, but even though we already can kind of do the same thing on the top, so that's not so much of the needs that we want here. So because the request for the user is that they want to have, let me go back here. So the request actually, they want to have a calendar view. So let me just like task database again. So not calendar, we want Kanban, but then you want to sort it into a calendar. Why is it not working for me? Select layout, select board. I think I should just maximize it. It's a bit hard to see. Okay, edit view. Okay, now that we have selected the board, so what we need to do is you can kind of adjust the size of the card, but I'll leave that blank. So you need to select group by, and then group by date. So in our case, and then in here you can actually select like date by. Is it like every day? Is a week? Is 1 year? So the request is that we wanted like a week. So that's why we have week here. And then just select the color columns, just make it a bit more aesthetic. And then you can select hide empty column, empty groups, meaning that if there's no dates, right, then you don't show anything. So for now you don't see anything because we don't have anything in the default. And then another thing, you can just hide this, just make it a bit more pleasing. So group by week, just make sure we name it so that we kind of know what it means. And also do the same thing, it's already filtered by default projects, so that's good. And then another thing I want to filter is just the checkbox. So we just make sure that everything that shows here is unchecked, meaning that it has not been completed. So for here, we can just leave everything the same. So we just hide the database, just make it a bit more pleasing. Now we can go back to our main page, and then let's try another project again. Let's just delete this. It's extracting, delete all the tasks. Okay, so new project, project number 1. Open it, and then here you can select either group by week or table, but there's nothing for now. Select task, task 1, and then you can do task 2, and do task 3, and do task 4. Okay, so now you can see automatically it's being populated with February 15. So the reason why we will need 15 is just actually just arbitrary number. And the idea is just that don't want it to be too far away, right? So like if it's like, I don't know, like 1993, like you have to go so far back like to scroll. But at least with 15, you can just scroll like, for example, next month, just like this. And then you can select April. This one you can select maybe January. So that's how you can have it, and then you can just do like a checkbox here. And you can see it's being checked here. And then it's automatically selecting the project. So another thing is you can go back to group by week just to make sure you can see it's showing properly here. So currently it's just showing 1 because number 4 is not completed, but then we can just uncheck it. You can see that all the weeks is being shown now. So that's it. And then one last step is we want to see kind of the progress, just to see how many is being completed. So it's just more pleasing, to be honest. So what you can do is you can use something called rollup. So this is a property, relations and rollup, it always come hand to hand. Basically, relations is where you want to try to link two database together. And then for rollup is when you want to extract the data, or you want to call back the data from the other database. So in this case, we want to see how many tasks has been completed. So you want to talk to the task database. So how many has been completed? Can you show it to me? So I can show here as a progress, and then relation. You select task. So this is the database that you want to select. And then property. So which one you want to see? So in our case, you just want to see the checkbox to see how many is being checked. So if you don't do anything, it's just show original, there won't be anything here. So what you do is just select it. And then there's a few things you can see like check. So just show you how many are being checked. Unchecked, like for example, is 1. And then but what we want is just like percent check. So you can see here, once this percent check is 0%. And then you can choose a bit of different graphics here. But I prefer the ring one, it's just more pleasing in general for me. and then select a color, maybe purple. So once we start checking it, you can see like it's actually being updated. And yeah, so this is how you can create a new project. All right, thanks for watching. Yeah, if you like my content, just subscribe for more tutorials, more Notion contents. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.